I think most of you guys, if you be honest with yourself, would agree with what I'm about to say. At some point in the last 24 hours, there's pretty good chance that you have hated on someone online. Maybe it was a TikToker, maybe a YouTuber, or a celebrity, or just someone posted a photo online that it just got on your nerves. Maybe you didn't comment. Ugh, that's so cringe. We usually tell ourselves that it's just a passing feeling, but if you look closer, hating has become a routine as brushing our teeth or checking our phone when we wake up. Humans have been hating on each other long before Wi-Fi existed. Back when our ancestors were living in caves, little humans, running into a stranger wasn't a social situation. It was a matter of survival. Psychologists call this in-group and out-group bias, the tendency to trust people who are like us and be wary those who are. If a stranger from another tribe showed up outside your cave, your brain didn't have time to ask, hey, what's bringing you here? It will jump immediately to, is this about to steal my food? Hundreds of thousands of years later, we no longer live in caves, but our brain is still running pretty much the same software. The difference is the stranger from another tribe is now just a social media account with a different opinion about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. And instead of picking up a spear, we're picking up a keyboard. Every time someone gets called out online, just look at the comment section. You will find something like, yeah, totally deserve this. I swear I always knew something was off about them. Well, the code got played. See, at some points, it feels like the comments have nothing to do with the original issue, but they're just more like an outlet for people to dump their emotion onto a stranger. And the funny thing is that the people who write hate comment, they're just normal people like you and me. They still go to school, they still go to work, and they are not necessarily bad people. They have family, they have loved ones, they treat their friends well. They might be a completely normal people in real life, but the moment they get online, the beast inside them comes out. So that's make me wonder, like, is social media creating hate or it just amplifying something that was already there? Before we get into that, I want to be clear about something. This video isn't here to defend people who do wrong, and it's not here to condemn everyone who's ever left a negative comment either. Because if we define hater as simply just like someone who's dislike another person online, then I think almost everyone has been a hater at least one in their life, including me. But the truth is, social media didn't invent hate. It just made expressing hate a whole lot easier. Think about it this way. If there's someone in real life that you don't like, you have to physically walk up to them and look them in the eye and say like, hey, you know what? You really annoy me. Well, best case scenario, you annoy me too. Okay. Worst case scenario, they punch you in the face. And yes, nobody wants that. That's weird, bizarre. In other words, real life always has a kind of break, something that makes you think twice before you say something. But online, that break barely exists. You can't see the other person's face. You can't see their emotion. You don't see their eyes go red. You don't know how they feel. Either they cry or they smile. All you see is a tiny profile picture and a text box. So you treat the person on the other side more like a character on the screen than a human being with real emotions. In psychology, there's a concept called online disinhibition effect. Basically, anonymity and distance strip away self-restraint. People say things online they would never say in person, not because they became bad, but because the break obviously weakened. That's why your sweet, angelic friend in real life can spend 3 hours on Facebook in a heated argument with a complete stranger over a character in a movie. Okay, at this point, you might be thinking, hold on, not every form of disliking someone makes you a hater. Yes, agree. Not all hate looks the same. So in this video, I'm gonna narrow the definition of hater. When I say hater, I mean people who let negative emotion, not right or wrong, drive how they treat someone online. Psychologists and sociologists have many ways to explain this kind of behavior. Some study envy, some study mob mentality, some study the effect of anonymity online. But to make it easier to understand, I will break it into 4 types of haters that I think most of us have seen or even have been at some point. Just to be clear, these aren't official category that you will find in the textbook or anywhere else, okay? They are just my own way of grouping different behavior based on the research that I just talked about. So just take them as a framework, okay? Not a clinical category. The first type, I will call it reactive hater. These are people who jump to conclusion faster than your Wi-Fi loads my YouTube videos. Imagine a video title, why are so many young people choosing not to get married? Before anyone even clicks play, the comment section already rolling. This generation is so selfish, always blaming society for everything. You know what? Back in our day, when we were poorer, we still get married. And then when you actually watch the video, the creator is saying the same thing. This action isn't always intentional. Our brain loves taking shortcuts. Rather than just processing a long piece of information, the brain automatically fills in the blanks using whatever it already knows. Sometimes we're not reacting to what someone said. We are reacting to what we assume they were going to say. The second type, in my opinion, is actually the most common, and I will call them the moral hater. Sound very positive, right? And yes, in the beginning, it kinda is. Imagine this. A celebrity gets caught in a scandal. Yeah, we don't know whether they're right or wrong yet. A few people speak up and criticize them. Totally normal. More people join in. Still normal. But then tens of thousands pile on. And now you start seeing comments like, cancel them completely. You know, like their family probably the same. Or sometimes it even gets more intense that people brings other people's kids into the conversation, like, what the f does their kids has to do with the scandal? You know? So you notice what just happened? We went from criticizing an action to attacking a whole family. This is called mob mentality. When you are part of a very large group, you start to feel like your individual contribution is small and insignificant. One really mean comment said alone would feel uncomfortable. But if 50,000 people are saying it, you'll start to think, my one comment isn't going to change anything. But the problem is that every single one of those 50,000 people thinks the same thing. And then here's this thing, you know, when people always say like, I don't want to be mean, but don't take this personal, but I don't want to be an asshole, but you know what, when you say the words but, like literally like whatever you say after that doesn't matter. You know, like, I don't want to be mean. Yes, you are going to be mean. I don't want to be a hater. Yes, you are being a hater. Don't take this personal. Oh my god, you about to say something that feel very personal, but you don't want me to take it personal. A lot of those people believe they're doing the right thing. Yes, they want to believe that they're standing on the right side of history, but sometimes the line between demanding accountability and enjoy the act of throwing stone at someone is a lot thinner than we like to think. The third type is the one I think the algorithm loves the most, and I think you and me, we probably are in this category. I call them the entertainment hater. These people don't actually hate anyone. They just love watching drama. You know, today a TikToker gets exposed. I'm just gonna take a quick look. 5 minutes later. Wait, is there a part 2? 10 minutes later. Let me see how the other side responds. 30 minutes later. You've watched 8 different analysis videos, read 200 comments, and now can name every single person involved in the story. Online drama is basically a never-ending TV series. Every season brings a new cast. Today is influencer A, tomorrow is streamer B, next week is content creator C. And if one morning and you wake up and nobody is being dragged online, well, this will definitely feel so empty. The fourth and final type is the one I find the saddest, and I call them the mirror hater, the pathetic, salty loser. I'm just kidding, I'm sorry. These people don't actually hate the person they are going after. They hate the feeling that person brings up inside them. Someone shared that they just got scholarship. Yeah, you know what? They probably just have connection. Someone bought a new house at 25. Well, obviously that's their parents' money. Someone lost 20 kilo. Ozempic. Someone posted a travel video. It was so performative. There's a well-known concept in psychology called social comparison theory. Humans almost constantly and unconsciously measure themselves against others to figure out where they stand. And when that comparison makes us feel like we are falling behind, the brain looks for any way to make that discomfort go away. And one of the fastest way to do that is to pull the other person down. If I can't be above them, at least I can convince myself they didn't deserve their success. If I can't have a life like theirs, then maybe their life is just a performance anyways. That is why sometimes the most cutting comment doesn't come from the person who hates you the most. It comes from the person who feels the smallest when they see you. The internet is a perfect environment for those feelings to multiply. Every time we open our phones, we confronted with someone more attractive, more talented, or seemingly happier than us. Even though we know that social media only show the most carefully selected highlights of someone's life, but the brain forgets that very easily. It just registers that everyone else seems to be doing better than me. So the moment someone shows even the tiniest crack, thousands of people rush in, not out of hatred, but because it finally feels like a chance to not feel so far behind. Okay, now if you like, then stop being a hater then. Well, honey, if it were really that easy, social media would have become a much friendlier place a long time ago. But reality is always harder than we think. There's a saying in the media world, attention is currency. On social media, the most valuable thing isn't whether something is right or wrong, kind or toxic. The most valuable thing right now is the ability to keep you watching for just a few more seconds. We always say we hate drama, and yes, drama videos are consistently among the most watched. We say we're tired of how toxic things are online, and yet every time a new controversy pops up, a huge number of us click anyway. Not because we're bad people, yes, we're not bad people, but because the human brain is inherently curious about conflict, and social media platform understand how our brains work sometimes better than we understand ourselves. You know, like in the past, to become an influencer, you had to be actually good at something, like really good at it. People paid attention because you had something valuable to offer. But these days, sometimes all it takes is saying something controversial enough to go viral. Just look around, right? How many people are deliberately making shocking statements? How many are doing strange things on purpose? How many people know full well that they are going to get dragged, but they post a video anyway? You know, like those people, they don't enjoy being hated. Nobody enjoy being hated, but they know that hate is still a form of engagement. And so this strange games begin. Creators make provocative content to drive views, and audience pile to share their reaction, and then the algorithm see the spike in engagement and push this further. Creator sees, oh, you know what, it's working, so let's do it again. Before you know it, the cycle repeat and everyone thinking that they're winning. But in fact, the ones who is winning is the platform itself. Okay, that said, I don't want this video to turn into some kind of lecture about how bad social media is and how we all need to put our phone away. No, because social media has never been purely negative. The problem has never been the internet itself. The problem is how we use it. A knife can be used to cook a meal, but it can also be used to kill someone. Social media works the same way. It amplifies whatever we bring to it. Bring kindness, it can spread incredibly fast. Bring hatred, it spread just as fast and maybe faster. And also, I'm not trying to say that never dislike anyone, okay? Because that's impossible. We are human and there will always be people we like and people we don't. But a feeling and an action are two completely different things. You are allowed to not like someone. Okay, you are allowed to disagree with their views. You are allowed to point out when someone does something wrong. But there's a word different between saying, you know, like I don't agree with what you did, and saying you don't know what the you're doing. That different called decency. Behind the screen, nobody knows who you are. Nobody is making you kind. No teacher is grading you. No parent standing behind you. In that moment, every comment you leave is a reflection of the person you're choosing to be. The scary thing about social media isn't that there are too many haters. The scary thing is that it makes becoming one so effortless. And after watching this video, each of us just pauses for 3 extra seconds before hitting send. Or maybe the social media won't suddenly become a kinder place. But maybe it will be one less comment that keeps someone awake at night. And sometimes cutting out just one comment like that is already a pretty big change. And maybe the next time we reach for the keyboard, it's worth asking ourselves that are we trying to solve a problem or are we trying to throw a spear?